11th, 2022. Good afternoon. All members of the Fair Planning Committee are participating virtually. For virtual meetings, committee members will be muted until asked to be heard. At that time, they will be recognized and will be unmuted. When there is a vote, it will be necessary to take a roll call vote. A committee member will be recognized and will raise their hand and state their vote. Today's meeting is a public meeting. Citizens can listen to the meeting if they contacted the city manager's office to make the necessary arrangements. The meeting will also be live streamed on the city's YouTube channel, and a recording of today's meeting will be available by Friday, April 15th, 2022 on the city's website. And then our first item, if I can find
I'll go ahead and do a roll call
yeah,
real quick.
you go ahead. You do your thing.
Rachel Barron.
Here.
Odell Cheek. Not here. Carrie Collins. Willie Cumbo. Sophia Greggs. Kathleen Garber.
Here.
Kim Gressley. Joseph Hamby.
Here.
Karen McHugh.
Here.
And Anthony Tang. Thank y'all.
All right. We cannot approve the minutes, but the minutes are there in the package that Rachel sent out. And then the two resolutions, we can't vote on those, but do y'all just want to kind of give us an overview of what's in those?
I will, I'll certainly be glad to do that. So the first resolution is for the adoption of approving entertainment and attraction agreements for 2022, which includes the scales, tails, and teeth alligator demonstration with the reptile walkthrough exhibit. Just to give you a little bit more information on that, it's the alligator demonstration is unique in popularity due to the hit show Gator Boys, which aired on Animal Planet. Jimmy Ripple was one of the two main characters on the show and is known to draw fans in from hours away. In addition to wrestling and the walkthrough, Jimmy's available for meet and greets throughout the day. And during the meet and greet, fans are able to ask questions and take pictures with Jimmy and the crew. So we're excited to have them potentially be here with us, and the connection, like we were discussing about children with reptiles. So that is pretty much the description for scales and tails and teeth. So if y'all have any questions, I'll be glad to entertain those.
Will they kind of be set up where the lumberjacks were?
Yes.
This past year?
So it'll
Okay.
be over there at the, at the main gate there. If you're coming in the main gate, it'll be over to your right.
Okay.
Sounds great.
Cool.
Yeah.
Will he wrestle the alligators on site?
He will.
Okay.
Yeah, there will be a couple of those a day, maybe 3 on the weekends. And during the time he's not wrestling is where the walkthrough educational exhibit will be there for people to come through and see. So we'll definitely have show times posted because I think people want to see it. And I think he mentioned that he goes through and does it. He wrestles the way the Native Americans wrestled, I think is his style. So it sounds intriguing. I'm interested to see it myself.
I did not know there were different styles of gator wrestling. So
yeah, I didn't
There
watch
you
the
go.
show on Animal Planet either. So lots to learn.
I choose the style of staying far away from the alligator.
Right.
So, all right. And then the adjustments to the rates and fees.
Yes. So we decided it was time for us to go through and look at our fees. And apparently we have not done that since 2011.
Wow.
So if you'll notice on the attachment, I have the old rates in red. So there's some things that we had dropped the percentage for community food booths several years back. We decided that it's time to kind of maybe move up on that. So we increased from 12% to 15% of the gross receipts. And then if you'll scroll down, it goes to the inside annex vendor booths. And we're raising each of those $100 except for nonprofit, which we increased by $50. And these are all pretty much, industry standards. We've also increased the footage for outside space. to go for, I think it's 75 for the 20-foot minimum, and then it'll drop to 70, which previously was 50 and 50 thereafter. So you see all those changes there in red. Novelties, we always go up a little bit more with novelties and jewelry, and we're increasing the agricultural rate too. No change in our electrical. We upped our stock truck spaces by 100, except camping, we made no change, and insurance, we bumped up a little, and golf cart permits, we went up 100. So again, like I said, this is pretty industry standard, and since it had been such a ample amount of time since we had increased any of our rates, we felt like now was the right time to go ahead and get that handled. Is there any questions in regards to that?
Nope. I think a 10-year grace period with no no rate increase, very generous. So let's probably move forward with getting it back in line with what things actually cost these days. So facilities update.
I think I'm going to have to lean on Ben for some of this. I know that we've had structural or electrical engineers here at the grandstand site, but I did not get a full real update on where we are. I don't know how much Ben may know about the grandstand, but I do know that there's been some type of progress because there's people been here on the grounds.
Okay, I guess I'll speak on this one. Let's see, I guess good afternoon, everybody. So, back in early January, I don't know if you recall the storm that we had. It was a pretty significant windstorm, and it blew off just about, I think, all of the coating on the grandstand, as well as some panels. And so fairground staff, along with risk management staff, have been working with our insurance company on preparing a claim, which I think we've gotten all the information in now, because it's not just the roof itself, but it also impacted, as Carrie noted, some electrical systems, sound systems, just a lot was impacted. Inventory that was stored inside the grandstand. And I think all that information has been submitted to the company now. So now we're working through, hopefully getting a settlement. And I think it's going to be a significant amount of money. I think the estimate that was given for just the roof was, I think, over $200,000.
Wow.
So the challenge that's before us is, how can we proceed on making the necessary repairs so that we can ensure that the grandstand is actually available for the fair? And that's our greatest concern right now. First and foremost, we want to make sure the grandstand is safe. And so, the Property and Facilities Management Department is retaining an engineer who's going to do some structural assessments of the grandstand, not just with the roof, but hopefully with other parts of the stand, in particular the seating area. If you were to go on site right now and look under the seats, you can see where, because of the roof, water has infiltrated, and I think it's mildewing and impacting some of the substructure. And we also have spots there above in the seats where the concrete has worn away and some of the rebar showing, that type of thing. So what we're really wanting to do is try to define a scope of exactly what we need to do, obviously to address the roof issues, the electrical system issues, that type of thing, but to make sure that we are confident that the grandstand is safe to use. So years ago, if you recall, when we did the master plan and operational review of the fairgrounds, one of the items on there was to look at the grandstand. I believe it was to replace the grandstand, or at least do a major rehabilitation of the grandstand. And I think at that time, and this is more like 2015, 16, maybe, it estimated cost close to $5 million to do that. So we obviously don't have that kind of money to do a replacement of the grandstand, but we do want to do these assessments, and as part of defining exactly what it is we need to do in the coming weeks to make sure that the grandstand is is available, for the fair. We've got some other programming, I think, in the coming months before the fair, and we're just going to have to work through that as we start working on getting the grandstand fixed. So that's really, I think, the most urgent, update that I wanted to share with you all. The city manager will be presenting a proposed budget for fiscal year 22-23 to the council towards the end of May. And part of that will include a capital budget for various departments across the city. And part of, and there is a plan to have some funding appropriated to address some fairgrounds needs beyond just the grandstand. So I think some work in the education building, some work in Yesterday Village, some roof work in the education building. I think some systems work. So trying to make investments as we can to address our most urgent and pressing needs to ensure that the facilities are safe and operational. But that's kind of where we stand. So I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Do we have any sort of estimated timeline, knowing that, I mean, it's been 3 months since the damage happened. We've got 6 months until the fair gets here. Did that assessment back in 2015 give sort of a projected construction timeline that we could sort of modify and apply to this?
So that's a good question. We're not going to, I think, look to do what was reflected in the master plan. I think the master plan, more or less, reflected a replacement of the grandstand. So, what we're going to look at is utilizing the proceeds from the settlement to repair and ensure that that the grandstand structure is safe to use. Of course, as a local government, we have to follow state purchasing law. So, a good bit of this work will probably have to be formally bid out, and that is a process, takes time. So staff, fairgrounds, property and facilities management staff, we're all going to convene a meeting here very soon to really start the planning and determine, okay, what can we go ahead and start doing? I don't know that this work is going to require an architect, and so you won't have kind of that phase or element of the project in terms of the design work, which will be good. But we've got to get together to kind of say, okay, what can we do to go ahead and get this started, even if we don't have the proceeds from the settlement. Council here recently did transfer some money into the fairgrounds fund that represented the revenues that the fair had lost during the pandemic. So essentially, in a kind of an indirect way, the council utilized part of the $51.7 million that we received through the American Rescue Plan Act to help restore, the fairgrounds. I think, I can't remember the number off top of my head, but it's over $2 million. And so, our hope is to utilize some of those funds, not all of them, but some of those funds give us a bridge to go ahead and get started on the grandstand, so that then when we get the settlement proceeds, we'll have that funding as well. But our hope is really to hold most of that money in reserve, because that essentially is literally and figuratively our rainy day fund. So but that's kind of where we are. So yes, we there is an urgency here. We want to get staff together, start the planning, figure out what we can go ahead and start moving forward with, whether it's bidding, that kind of thing, so we can work backwards and make sure that we're providing ourselves sufficient time to get the grandstand at least ready for the fair. Like I said, we'll just see what it means for events that are on the calendar before then, but at least make sure that we're ready for the fair.
Okay, and then worst case scenario, we can't get all of our ducks in a row, construction is delayed, whatever. Do we have anything in the contracts that we've already agreed to with grandstand entertainment that if we don't have a place for them to perform, what happens then?
No, that's a very good question. I don't know those details, Kathleen, but we'll find out. We'll check those agreements and we'll report back to you all. If not before your next meeting, then at your next meeting to kind of let you know what our plan B is. Especially if we don't think that we'll have the stand ready for the fair.
Gotcha. Because I know the concerts and things we could probably shift somewhere else, but demolition derby, rodeo, those type of events,
Right.
there's not really a second place for those.
Right.
So, all right. Well, thank you for the update, and we'll be on the lookout for more news and hopefully good news about the grandstand to be. So
We'll do it.
Guess that puts us to other business, aka the theme of the fair.
I was going to say, and that will disperse over to Rachel to announce our theme for this coming year.
Yeah, so our theme for the 2022 Carolina Classic Fair is riding, rocking, and livestocking.
Wow.
All of the stuff, yeah. So it kind of hits on all the fun parts of the fair. So
Great.
I think we'll see a lot of really cool things and a lot of really good entries based off of that theme in the Ed building and the Ag building this year. So it'll be a lot of fun. And we haven't started any of the ad creative or anything because we literally voted on it Friday. But I'm envisioning our ads having some sort of cow riding a roller coaster playing a guitar. I don't know why, but that's just the visual I see in my head of it.
I like it. I'd get on board with that.
There you go.
That's great.
Very cool.
Where did that come from? Who thought of that?
I went through a ridiculous amount of other fairs themes from years past, and a couple fairs in Iowa, I want to say, back in the late 90s had that theme. And so we had a wall of Post-it notes where we just where I had a bunch of fun themes, and we've been dwindling it down. And then that was finally our last vote was for that one.
Wonderful. Now, do we have a marketing agency in place, or do we have our PR people in place? Do we have to bid out for that? How is that working this year?
We did bid out for it. We're still going through the selection process on it. We've had some questions that we're reaching back out to the firms that bid for it, get clarification questions on them, and then hopefully we'll be getting one shortly. So
now, is there, so we don't work with city marketing anymore?
They just support as needed. So
Okay.
if we need additional graphics or something here or there, they'll support. But most of like our website, most of that creative all goes through a firm.
Okay.
Will there be an app this year?
There will be an app, and hopefully we're talking about not printing calendar of events, and so everything will go through the app. So we should be able to.
Yes, Rachel and I were actually able to go down to a NICO convention, which is National Independent Concessionaires Association, which was located down in Tampa, Florida. And so happened that Florida State Fair was happening as well. So we were able to go over to Florida State Fair and tour around and see a lot of the ideas that they had there. And one that we brought back home, because that's what fairs love to do. They love to share ideas.
Yeah.
They had a giant map as you came in at a couple different locations that showed the entire grounds, and it had a QR code down in the bottom where you could scan it, pulled up the map in their app, I think is how it worked. And then, you could see your daily show times and that kind of thing. And we just thought that was a great idea to reduce some costs as far as printing and trash laying around the grounds. And we're really hoping to implement that this year. We're very excited about it. So we gathered quite a bit of new information that we've never thought about from a concessionaire's point of view. And so it was a really good educational trip for both of us. And we're actually traveling next month to our zone meeting down in Naples, Florida. And so I'm looking forward to seeing what we can learn, because all throughout the United States, we're broken up into different zones, and zone 1 and 2 are meeting together this year at the Florida Federation of Fairs. And zone 1 is more up north. So it'll just be good to meet new people and see some that we've actually met throughout since we were in San Antonio. And just, feed off of their information and network with them, because it's kind of how the Wall of Honor for our Veterans Wall showed up. I actually got that idea out of Hickory at the Hickory Legion Fair. So I always get excited when we're able to share and see other fairs and bring back new ideas. So it's just, I feel like that's where we really grow, is when we're able to talk with these fairs and understand how they came up with things. Because at this point, our Veterans Wall is so big, we're going to have to place tables out and take some of the pictures down off of the boards and put them in the albums that can be flipped through, so we can add more new ones on the boards. So it's just really has grown, and it's been a pretty good draw, I do believe, for the people that want to come in and check out all those boards and photos of those that have served for us.
It's also a good time to mention that if you're not already one of our IAFA members, where you get the emails and you can log in and see kind of the IAFE resources, to let either me, Cheryl, or Carrie, one of us know, we can get you looped in so that you guys can see those and be a part of. They have cyber seminars or anything.
And y'all are welcome to travel. Y'all can travel to the different things as well as our, part of our board or committee. Our next big one is going to be in Indianapolis, Indiana, in November. So something to think about, but it definitely has a lot of information at that website. And their newsletters are really awesome.
Yeah, I've really enjoyed reading them and just kind of, like you said, getting that perspective of realizing like what other folks are doing and what can we use and share, not steal. But
that's right. We all share. We share.
It's not tested. IFE likes to say that it's already been tested ideas. So
right.
It's really just already been tested.
Yeah. I know when I was at Wake, the higher ed conference is called CASE, and it was just copy and share everything. So you're just you're getting ideas, and now you're applying them in your own unique context. So
right.
Yeah.
That's great.
And Marla, our president of the association, sorry, Rachel, she does a podcast, and she's very entertaining. Marla's a great speaker. So, it might be something that you'd want to check in just to hear what she has, because some of the things that she talks about applies to other than just fair events in general, or just Marla's just a fountain of information.
And I will say the cyber seminar on, I'm going to toot my own horn here, on April 20th, will be a masterclass presented by me on fair entry. So
yes,
that'll also be a good one to hop on as well.
I think they're very excited to see some fresh blood in the groups. Yeah. So Rachel has been picked on quite a bit and chosen to do. We have a group that's called Young Professionals, and they have to be under 40, and so she's been able to be highly involved from that aspect. So it's been really good.
That's great.
That's great. And then I saw too in the attachments that Rachel sent over the partnership opportunities. Is that just for general information? If we see anyone, encounter anybody who would like to sponsor?
Yes. So Robert was hoping that he would be able to jump on and discuss that. However, he apparently was not able to. But that is there's some things that we need to tweak in there, because it does mention that we're still printing our daily schedule or our event calendar events, which we are aiming to not do. And there's another branch of sponsorship that I'm wanting to add for benches. One of the things in the industry we've learned is people have the opportunity to sit down and eat or sit down and rest, have a tendency to stay at the event longer. So we're wanting to add in that piece to the partnership where you could sponsor a bench and we can get some more seating around. And I'll just throw this out too. There's an area that I'm wanting to change up a little bit. It's over in Kittyland, and add like a little area for the toddlers where they really can only ride like the carousel kind of age group, but it's an area where they can learn or play with agricultural type items, or give mom a chance just to sit down and rest, mom and dad, I should say. And just an opportunity that if, you have a bottle and you need to feed, or just any of those things, there's this area that's kind of designed to help them and be comfortable as they can. So I'm trying to rearrange that corner over there. And then inside the marketplace annex, I'm wanting to do a local craft corner. And so I've been going to all these different little spring festivals and some of them back in the fall and picking up business cards from local crafters. And I'm trying to get them to be, interested in participating and partnering with us for 10 days and showing off their crafts and their talents. And so we can have that there in the annex and draw people to come take a look at local talent. And I'm really excited about it because I want that building to do better than it is currently doing. And I'm hoping that I can pull it all together.
So would the crafters have to give a percentage of their intake?
They do not. They pay rental, and that's all that they do. They pay rental for their space, which really amounts to like $65 a day.
And when you mentioned benches, are you thinking of one sponsor per bench?
Could be. Absolutely. They could sponsor as many as they'd like.
And what would the cost of the benches be?
So what we need to do is we need to see what the cost of the bench is, and then we would, add to that. But my assumption is right around 300 or 400, maybe 5 at the most.
Okay, and obviously their name would be on, yes.
Yes.
And you're thinking like a big metal park bench type of thing?
We thought about that, where you can do like the wraps that you put on them that you can still see, on the metal bench, so you can see how much. And we can talk to our printer to see how much that wrap would cost. Just get our costs covered, and then an additional fee because you're advertising.
Right. Yeah.
That all sounds really good. I think, yeah. And I think too, that would be great for the annex, like you were saying. I know a lot of times when I go in, it's I'm going to a specific booth. Please don't look at me. Don't talk to me. I don't like.
Well, I'm also changing up the layout.
Yeah. So
the layout's going to be different in the annex. It's not going to be just up and down aisles. It'll be a little more roaming, which we'll see. We'll just see how it goes. I know change doesn't always go over well with people, but you can still go up and down aisles, but it is kind of more flowing. So we'll see how it goes. I have the area for our sponsors to be in, kind of in the center, and just trying to make some changes, trying to do something fresh and new. I think that annex has been set up that way since I was a lot younger. We'll put it that way. So just bringing some new ideas to the table, trying to make some changes and see how we can go with that.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Like it. Are there any other questions or anything else we need to go over?
Not that I'm aware of. Rachel, was there anything else that?
No, I think we're good.
We're good.
All right then. Well, short and sweet, and we'll vote on some minutes hopefully at the next meeting. So if there's no further business and discussion, we are officially adjourned. Thank y'all so much for your time.
Thank
Thank
you,
you, everybody. Good to see
Thank
you
you,
all.
everybody. Bye.